Welcome back to the show. We're going to talk the importance of staging your home before you sell it. And I've got the expert, Amy Pates from Coldwell Banker Distinctive Properties. Good morning, Amy.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here this morning. It's beautiful outside, so it was a great drive in.
Yes, nice and warm today.
Yes, nice and warm. And we were just talking the importance of staging a property because when you're going to sell a house, you want it to feel like a home.
You do, and you almost want your sellers to depersonalize things, so when a buyer comes in, it feels like they can picture themselves in this property. So that's really important.
And as we're kind of going through the steps and how you can correctly navigate doing this, what's the first step for someone to depersonalize their home?
I would say get rid of the clutter. So as a realtor, when I come into somebody's home and I'm working with the seller, I will pick out areas that I'm like, this needs to be decluttered. Do you want to get things off of your counter? Everything needs to look really clean. I really feel like cleanliness and having things look meticulously maintained is very important. You want people to feel that when they walk in your house. Also, some homes have a lot of color, like the walls are colored, or I have one house that the sinks and the toilet were a certain color. And sometimes you can work with that, sometimes you can't. But if homeowners are open to it and they can paint their walls and maybe get rid of some of that personalization, that really helps a buyer vision themselves in your home, and that's really important. So
I would imagine, because it really gives them the opportunity to see them building their future there and what they could do to make it more of their own home. And so these are great little tips. Now there's an ROI as you're staging your home. Let's talk about that.
The return on investment. It really doesn't cost that much to have a home staged. And so I also don't just want to focus on the clutter or the color, because sometimes homes are older, so they're dated and they need to be looking a little bit more contemporary, because that's what our buyers are looking for.
Yes.
So to bring in new furniture or some updated furniture, sometimes the budget doesn't have enough money in there to do everything. But sometimes I'll just pick a floor or not to, sorry, I was like, what are you pointing at? One of our homes here is a bit dated. And so we brought in a lot of new furniture that's contemporary. Our walls got painted. And you could really see the difference here.
It doesn't even look like the same home.
It doesn't. So, but just this is what happened when your walls got painted white and your trim is a little bit darker. It adds a lot more contemporary look to it.
Yeah.
And then the furniture. So here is a home that, you know, it's a 20-year-old home, and it was sort of a fun cottagey type of home. You can see sort of the red and white backsplash and the red countertops. And so this home was totally renovated, or the kitchen was. So they kept the same countertop, but just painting the cabinets made a huge difference. Actually, in the previous picture, the counters were actually black in the background, so they were able to keep that, but the backsplash was made white, and the cabinets were painted, and it made a huge difference.
Yeah, it took it from this, which does look like you would see in a cute little Airbnb somewhere that was trying to give you that kind of vintage feel, to making it that contemporary look that people are really looking for right now, because that contemporary look is so popular. It's so clean, it's so sleek, that people really love it.
And that's what people are looking for. So, and that's really important. Here's another home, and this was a beautiful home. We'll see finishes like this up in Bachelor Gulch and Beaver Creek. You know, there's plaster walls that were sort of the color of butter, and it was very warm, very Ralph Lauren-y. But this, if you look at the next picture, it'll show you a little bit more. We actually put white paint over these gorgeous, expensive plastered walls. We took the trim and we painted it a dark brown, and it really bounces. And then we brought in some more contemporary furniture, so it made a huge difference in how this home shows. And the return on investment you mentioned to me a little bit earlier, we can talk about this picture too, actually, and then we'll get to the return on investment. But this one was a bachelor pad. So they actually had like a bumper pool table in the living room. I don't know if you can see that in this picture, but it was an older gentleman. He lived there by himself. People walked in and just it felt like a bachelor's pad in here. And we staged this with a lot more contemporary. This home had a lot of beautiful bones. It had gorgeous windows, as you can see. The fireplace now pops because you now don't get distracted with all the other things. And it brightens it up. We want people to feel like there's light coming in, there's energy. So this was a great example of a recent house I sold. And the beautiful moss rock fireplace shows that craftsmanship that's in there. And that to me was really important, that we can show the good qualities of the home and then people's eyes don't go to some of the things that we wanted to distract them from.
Right.
So,
well, and just seeing that difference in the coloration is incredible because it draws out those elements like that fireplace like you were talking about. So this is an incredible opportunity to get more with your property.
Absolutely. And the homes typically sell for $200,000 to $300,000 more than what they typically would have sold for. And even in the more expensive homes that do that staging, sometimes they're furniture packages that are sold with the homes. People come in, and we're really trying to create sort of an atmosphere and an emotion. So when people leave, they don't remember that the house with the blue wall. What they're remembering is that calmness and that wonderful feeling and the openness and the brightness that they saw when they were visiting that home.
Right, and so many of those homes that you just showed had such beautiful lighting that was so taken away with those kind of harsh tones and those, I would say, just a little dimmer essence that it was carrying. And then when you opened it up and brightened it up with that contrast, it just looked magnificent.
Right. And sometimes as a realtor, you have a home to work with. Sometimes you have to really, the seller is still living there, so you need to work around that. Sometimes there's animals and different things like that. But that return on investment is usually about 5 to 10% of that ROI. So, you know, it really is not all that expensive to do that when you look at what your final cost is. And even some programs that I will offer is that I will pay for all that staging ahead of time, and then once the home closes, that I can get reimbursed from that seller. So it's a great program.
Yeah, that's incredible because it kind of takes that worry that people might feel away, and then you know that you're going to be covered in the end. Now, if someone's interested in working with you, having you help them with all of these great steps and finding this way to bring their house back to life, to find its new owner, how can they get in contact with you?
Well, they can just look me up online, Amy Pates, with Coldwell Banker Distinctive Properties, and I'm in the Vail area, Vail, Edwards, work on Eagle as well. So I would just say Google me, or you can look me up online. So
of course, so it's easy, it's simple, so that way people can find you, they can work with the best.
Yes.
Because you're a longtime local, so you understand our market exquisitely.
Absolutely. So I have been here for 25 years now up in this valley, and I've been in real estate for over 35 years, just working the area. So
Amy, we want to thank you so much for coming in, giving us all this great information, and maybe helping inspire people to give their home that little extra love before sending it to its new owners.
Well, thank you so much, and it really is important, so I really can't stress that enough. And if people have questions, feel free to just call me. I'm happy to answer.
Well, again, thank you so much for sharing your wonderful knowledge.
Thank you.
Make sure that you get in contact with Amy Pates. That way, if you are looking to sell a property or buy a new property, well, then you've got the best real estate agent in your pocket. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we've got more Good Morning Vail, so don't go anywhere.